Hey, what's up guys, Mashine here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about some recent developments that have been going on inside of CS, and more specifically focusing in on that case market, which has been going absolutely crazy. Now we're going to be talking about those recent developments after a quick word from nobody, because this video is not sponsored. But I do want to give a huge thank you to all of my sponsors in the past, and I also want to give a big shout out to Arco Digital. He's a guy that helps me out a ton with my videos. He's even sponsored some in the past. Just do me a favor, go check him out on Twitter. He's got some great work, and let's hop on into it. Now, talking about these recent developments, obviously we're going to be focusing in on Source 2. I try not to stick straight to the news in these videos because honestly they're not the most interesting when you just sit there and just strictly read off what's been happening on Twitter. However, there has been some pretty important developments when we're talking about Source 2. Obviously there's been a lot of things going around, including some very interesting executables that have been seen in the game, and obviously we've got that potential beta on the future. Now, this is very interesting, although we really don't know where it's going to lead. Something like this has yet to be determined what specific date it's going to come out, even though it's still a very far away thing. Could come out tomorrow. We really don't know, since we're not getting 100% of the full picture. For me personally, I'm trying to keep these sections about Source 2 as quick as I can, because obviously if you've watched some of my past videos, I'm not a big fan of rambling on about 8 minutes about what could potentially happen here, then, or what. It's just something that's been going on recently, and you should be informed about it. Now, specifically focusing in on what we're going to be talking about today though, which is cases, and more specifically, why you need to be really careful about some specific cases that are out there. Now, we have been seeing a massive bull run for cases, but it's been specifically the cheap cases. Obviously, these cases are the biggest ones we turn to when we're looking for a high ROI, because you can buy something for 10 cents, sell it for 20, and you doubled your money. Whereas we're looking at something like the Hydra case going from $15 to $30 is not very feasible. Greatest way to see something like this is when we head on over to Esports Fire, check out their indexes, and specifically focus in on that index with the recent cases. This one does not include that Revolution case, which is very important because we're going to be getting a consistent look at it, and you can see here that it is up a pretty significant amount, around 20% in the past 2-ish weeks. And if we want to head over to my personal inventory, you can see here that I am also experiencing a heck of a lot of that growth. I am up 50% in about the past 2 months. But let's go ahead and focus in on a couple cases. We're going to be getting to what that means in just a quick minute. The first one I want to focus in on obviously has got to be that Snakebite. Was the cheapest case in the game for a long time, and now it's roughly sitting there. I mean, it's very close to overtaking the Prisma, Danger Zone, Prisma 2, and even Horizon at this point, which is honestly, in my opinion, a bit scary, because the Snakebite case is in a very interesting position. I'll just be saying I probably wouldn't invest at this price point, but obviously that's just my personal opinion. The thing about the Snakebite case is obviously it does have some potential. If we want to look inside of it, it's got the Broken Fang gloves, and honestly, in my opinion, they're one of the better looking glove sets in the game. The USPS Trader and the M4A4 in Living Color are not terrible skins, but the biggest thing to go along with this is the age of the case, and it's actually not too old. If we want to compare it to some of the other cases, obviously it's a little bit older when we're talking about those active duty cases. We've got 3 cases that are newer than it, but in my opinion, I don't really see the Snakebite case as an old case, at least at this point. Talking about the Snakebite at this point, I just see it as a case that really has only gone up because of the FOMO hype and the fact that it was the cheapest case, to kind of give it to a point where it's similar in price to the other cases. The bigger one that I'm more concerned about is the Fracture case. Now, the Fracture case is a very interesting situation. A lot of people thought it was going to be removed, instead we saw the clutch removed, which is even more of an interesting situation, but obviously we saw those clutch case gloves introduced, and that made a little bit more sense there. Talking about the Fracture case though, this one is a little bit more scary, if that's even possible. Talking about 100% growth in the span of just a month, and the fact that it is now in a very interesting situation, which we're going to talk about in just a quick second. But overall, the Fracture case is not my favorite case. I do like the skins inside of it, and I do like the special rare items specifically. If you know me, I'm a big Shattered Web case guy, but what scares me about this is the Fracture case specifically. I want to go back to Operation Riptide, because Operation Riptide is very important for showing one specific thing. And that's the fact that active duty cases have really struggled during times of operations. If we want to take a look at the clutch case during Riptide, this case was the most unboxed case during this time, went down 50% during Operation Riptide. It lost half of its value in just the span of about a month and 2 months, depending on when you want to specifically look. In around 6 weeks, it lost 50% of its value just because an operation had come out and because it was no longer the most demanded case. Now, if we want to look at the clutch case during the entirety of 2022, you can see here that it was unboxed a heck of a lot. But if we want to look at the lifetime graph of the clutch case, you can see here it never really peaked above 40 cents. It reached that point once and it immediately fell back down. You can see obviously towards that right side, that's when the clutch case got removed, and obviously the price point went up pretty significantly from there. But the fact that it never even reached 35 cents on average should be a little bit concerning in my opinion. If you're now looking at that fracture case, which is sitting at 40 cents, which also has less unboxings, is in a very interesting situation because it's up 100% in the past month, and it's got a lot of factors in my opinion which I don't consider desirable going for it right now. The clutch case was very desirable because it was the exclusive spot to get those gloves. It had a lot of valuable gloves, and also if you're confused why I was saying the clutch case was the exclusive spot to go to, this is during the time when we saw no Revolution case, and we're looking at the entirety of 2022. If we want to look at specific unboxing numbers, obviously we know that the clutch case dominated in 2022. The fracture case now and during 2022 as well was not the most unboxed, and it definitely struggled a little bit compared to the clutch case, which is just another reason in my opinion why I would be a little bit concerned about the fracture case moving forward. Now, all of this is just coming down to my personal opinion and analysis on this specifically. If we want to look at other cases, obviously other cases are also in very interesting situations where we've seen the glove case now become the worst ever CSGO case to unbox with a 14% ROI, and yet the price still keeps going on up. What does this all mean? It shows that there is a significant interest into investing into CSGO, specifically cases, items right now, and that's very interesting, and that's almost guaranteed to be fueling all of this growth that we're seeing. That's not necessarily the worst thing, however, it's a bit concerning when we're talking about longevity, especially for this growth. There is almost guaranteed to be a peak and collapse during one specific thing that hits, unless we see a very miracle situation where source 2 comes in, a significant amount of players come in to level out the fact that these people are most likely going to sell. At this point, we're really depending on not seeing an operation if we want to see this growth continue, because in this situation, it's not going to be a very good situation if an operation comes out, because we've also got a lot of people who have been stocking up on these cheap investments, and the thing about cheap investments is you can sell off thousands of them and only get a couple $100. That in turn obviously being a huge issue of multiple people with a couple thousand cases trying to liquidize them, and you've got a massive issue on your hands of that case price going down quickly. And in this day and age with all the FOMO going on for CSGO investing, that could translate over to other items for no apparent reason. That's pretty much all I have for today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.